Sí es, y el sábado he still has it, and Saturday we're gonna show it.
Do you believe you knock him out?
Why not?
I want to see Terence fight Canelo, but I would love to see him fight anybody in that division, because even up to 154, because I think he's supreme as crop.
At the final press conference, Canelo Alvarez's trainer Eddie Reynoso fired a bold warning at Terence Crawford. He promised fans that they will see the best version of Canelo on fight night. Reynoso confidently predicted a knockout win, insisting that Canelo's power and experience would simply overwhelm Crawford.
I think of him sometimes like Marvin Hagler, who when he fought Duran, he gave him too much respect, and it was close. So when he fought Hearns, he thought, no, I'm gonna go knock him out. What mentality do you want Canelo to have for this fight?
Me recuerdo un poco a Marvin Hagler y lo que tuvo que hacer. Cuando ves a Canelo, esa mentalidad que tiene Castro. Lo mejor de su carrera, lo mejor de 20 años de preparación y de peleador, eso se va a ver el sábado. This is the best Canelo we're going to see in 20 years of career, and we're going to show him Saturday.
Canelo Alvarez has always carried himself like a confident champion who shines when the pressure is highest. In a recent statement, he said clearly that he is excited for the fight with Terence Crawford and guaranteed a knockout victory. Bold claims are nothing new for Canelo, who has built his name on being outspoken and fearless. His knockout power has defined his career, as he has beaten some of boxing's biggest stars. By promising to stop Crawford, he's sending a strong psychological message to his opponent and the fans.
Thinks Bomac might throw the towel in to stop the fight.
Oh, could be. In boxing, everything can happen, right?
Do you believe you knock him out?
Yeah. Why not?
No, you said last year you have everything to lose and nothing to gain. Because you said if he wins, he's no human. You'll say he's too small.
Yeah.
Is that still the same for you now?
No, when you don't have in mind one fight, you think in that way. But when you see how big is this fight, it's a big fight.
Although Alvarez admitted that Terence Crawford looks impressive with his new physique, he quickly dismissed it as unimportant once they step inside the ring. According to Canelo, the fight will prove who he really is as a champion. He explained that whenever a big matchup is announced, people bring endless opinions, doubts, and debates. Fans and experts all have their own predictions, but Canelo remains confident. No matter what others believe, he insists that only the fight will decide, and he will prove himself where it matters inside the ring.
It's good. I feel happy because that you realize it's gonna be a good fight. So we expect a good fight.
There are rumors circulating. A lot of people, conspiracy theories, think that it's photoshopped. What's your opinion?
I don't think so. People always talk, speculate, and everything, but that's good. Around big fights always happen.
You're somebody who has moved up and through the weights himself. What do you think the biggest challenge of it is, and what do you think he maybe is underestimating with it?
No, maybe they know, but if not, I'm gonna remind them September 13th. I can do a lot of things in the ring, and I'm gonna put everything there.
Veteran trainer Abel Sanchez raised serious concerns about this fight, saying he doesn't want to see Canelo Alvarez face Terence Crawford or anyone else in that weight class. Sanchez believes the size gap is too wide and could create real danger. He worries that by moving through so many divisions, Canelo might be pushing his body too far. From Sanchez's perspective, taking on such challenges could shorten Canelo's career and put his health at risk unnecessarily.
I don't want to see Terence fight Canelo, but I would love to see him fight anybody in that division, because even up to 154, because I think he's supreme as crop.
Yeah. Well, why not Canelo? Is that just a little too much?
It could be like Canelo fighting the Charlo. He just, even though he's got a lot of talent, it's just not enough.
Former world champion Carl Froch pointed out that Crawford now looks both strong and powerful, which could spell trouble for Canelo. Froch reminded everyone that Canelo is not unbeatable. He has lost before, first to Floyd Mayweather and later to Dmitry Bivol, which proved that even a great fighter like Alvarez can be beaten with the right style. According to Froch, these defeats show that Crawford's size and strength could cause Canelo major problems in the ring.
Good. Counter punches, fast hands, naturally the lighter man, so it's going to be naturally the quicker man. But I said earlier, he's looking bigger and stronger, so I think he's going to be able to cope with pressure from Canelo at times. But Canelo, I'm talking about, how does he win? And I think use his size, his strength, and his weight advantage, his natural weight advantage to sort of bully Crawford around and push him back and put him under pressure, if indeed he can. And I just think that his natural ability, he's got high work rate, Canelo. He throws combination punches, he's great with a jab. He's defensive, he's a masterclass, and he does everything really, really well, exceptionally well. But he's also tough, never been down, never been put over, never really looked like he's been hurt. I mean, he's had a couple of losses, hasn't he? He's lost to Mayweather, he's lost to Dimitri Bivol, but he never really looked hurt. I think Bivol caught him with a couple of shots that may have buzzed him. Never went anywhere, did he? Never touched down on the canvas. So for Crawford to actually hit him and hurt him, or hit him and put him away, I can't see that happening. Canelo just needs to do what Canelo does, which is busy, excellent boxing masterclass work, but on his front foot and put Terence Bud Crawford under pressure. And that will probably be enough for him to get the job done. Now, for Crawford to win this fight, he's going to have to box and move, use his speed, use the ring craft, you know, the skills that we've seen time and time again. Ricky Burns, I've mentioned, Kell Brook, the big win against Errol Spence. Nobody thought that would be a one-sided whooping, but that's what it was. Terence Crawford outclassed Errol Spence. Errol Spence is a phenomenal fighter. We know how good he is, and look what Bud Crawford managed to do to him. Such a quality fighter, and he's unbeaten as well. So he's coming into this fight, doesn't know how to lose. I know he's older than Canelo Alvarez. Has he got one eye on retirement? Maybe, but he's not going to want to go out on a loss. But Crawford needs to be fast behind the jab, combination punches, busy body and head, fast leg work all the way around the ring, use his speed, make Canelo reach like Bivol.
Veteran broadcaster Jim Gray called this fight one of the biggest events. That only comes around every so often. For him, the excitement comes from the fact that both Canelo and Crawford are considered two of the greatest fighters of this era. The matchup is tough to predict because both bring unique advantages. Alvarez has knockout power and years of big fight experience, while Crawford has the skill, versatility, and undefeated record that make him extremely dangerous. Gray explained that this is why the fight has captured fans' attention. It's not one-sided, but a true clash of two icons that could deliver a classic.
You're asking me to break down a fight. I mean, obviously the big focus is on the weight and coming up in the division. And, but look, Terence Crawford fights from both sides. And while Canelo has fought guys who, have been southpaws and so forth, they usually don't switch in the middle of the round. So you never know what can happen in these fights. Canelo is a bigger guy, and Canelo, we saw what happened to him when he went up against Bivol. So we know what that looks like. And so, it's a tough assignment to move up in weight, but Terence Crawford has taken on every tough assignment, and he looks in great shape. And, this guy's really something. So it's hard to say, if you start analyzing and breaking this down, there are advantages for both.
Former world champion Steve Collins gave a balanced take on the fight. He admitted he couldn't choose a clear winner because Canelo still has enough left to beat Crawford. At the same time, Crawford is arguably the best fighter in the sport right now. Collins explained that both men bring qualities that could win the night. Alvarez with his toughness and experience, and Crawford with his IQ and adaptability. His breakdown shows why this fight splits opinions across boxing. For Collins, it won't be about pre-fight talk, but about who executes better once the bell rings.
Firmly picking Canelo, some people firmly picking Crawford. Where's your head at with this?
I'm a fan of Canelo. I love his style. I like how he fights. I like everything about him, his boxing. Crawford is a very good fighter. And some people believe and think that maybe Canelo might not be taking him serious. People think, oh, Canelo's got this attitude, oh, I'm bigger than him, I'm stronger than him. This is what they think Canelo's thinking. And they think, people believe that Canelo goes in underestimating Crawford. He could be in for a shock. I don't believe Canelo is underestimating him because he's too long in the tooth. He's been around the game. He's too wise, too successful to underestimate anybody. But also in saying that, Canelo's been around a long time. He's had a lot of hard fights under his belt, and I wonder, is every fight, next fight is going to be his last fight? Has Canelo still got it in the tank? We don't know. We know on the night Crawford is good enough to beat him. Canelo's good enough to beat Crawford, and in saying that, I'm looking forward to the fight because I really don't know. I can't pick a winner. That's what's great about this fight, because I really cannot pick a winner.
Do you think size will play a factor in this fight?
Well, size can play a factor if you know how to use it to your advantage. sometimes size can be to a disadvantage. I don't really think the size is going to make that much of a difference, really. But then Canelo is clever enough; he can use his weight to a positive. I don't really know. See, I can't simplify it and say, oh yeah, size will make a difference. But that's what's great about this fight. I can't pick a winner.
Michael Bisping, the former UFC champion, also shared his view, focusing on legacy. He called Canelo Alvarez the face of boxing and praised Terence Crawford as the undisputed king of his division. Bisping said this fight goes beyond belts or money, it's about cementing history. For Canelo, beating an undefeated star like Crawford would only add to his legendary career. For Crawford, stepping up against boxing's biggest name is his chance to prove himself on the grandest stage. Bisping's perspective highlights that both men are fighting for their legacy, not just another win.
About after all. And let's remember that Canelo Alvarez is kind of the face of boxing, but he's currently the number 3 pound-for-pound fighter. Canelo is only number 8, and of course number 1 is Alexander Usyk. A man that also, let's remember, moved up weight classes. If Crawford wins here, he becomes the first ever 3-weight undisputed boxing champion, but he's up against big competition in Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez is one of, if not the biggest star in boxing. All of the pressure is on Alvarez being the larger fighter, and also, as I said, being considered the face of boxing. Now Alvarez himself, he has unified the entire super middleweight division. After moving up from lower weight classes himself, unifying is a very rare achievement, but it also means that this fight is for all of Canelo's belts. Canelo is much more experienced, of course. His resume is stacked, and he's fought some of the best from 154 all the way up to 175. People like Triple G, 3 times, Amir Khan, Floyd Mayweather, Daniel Jacobs, Miguel Cotto, to name but a few. But his home has always been at 168 pounds. Canelo is unbeaten at super middleweight and only losing twice in his whole career versus Dimitri Bivol at light heavyweight in 2022 and Floyd Mayweather years ago, 2013, at 154 pounds. Funnily enough, 154 pounds is the highest weight that Crawford has competed at. Alright, if you're a boxing fan, then you're in for a treat because we've got a fight that transcends titles. We've got Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed champion, taking on the 3-division king, Terence Crawford. That is correct.
Bruce Carrington addressed the talk about Canelo Alvarez sparring Jaron Ennis. To prepare for Crawford, he made it clear that sparring is just sparring and shouldn't be overhyped. Carrington explained that training sessions don't really show who has the upper hand because the stakes and pressure are nowhere near the same as fight night. His comments remind fans that practice is not a predictor of how the real contest will unfold inside the ring.
I heard, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and the thing is, sparring is sparring, bro. Like, it happens. Like, I've had my days where a dude might get the best of me, and then the next 4 or 5 times I spar him, I'm lighting him up. Like, there's like no competition at that point. That's how things happen.
But what did you say, and I could be wrong, you're the pro here, but isn't sparring the most essential part of preparing for a fight though?
It is to a certain extent. It is. I would say, you know, but see the thing is like, when you're fighting, it's certain things you will and will not do. But like when you're sparring, you trying certain things. You're more loose. You're not as like, you know, timid and thinking about throwing certain shots. Like you're really taking your time. Like there's certain times I'm sparring and like really like.
Respected analyst Max Kellerman pointed out that Canelo Alvarez has already headlined countless big events. While this will be the biggest stage of Terence Crawford's career, Crawford has never faced an opponent with Alvarez's star power under such bright lights. At the same time, Kellerman stressed this fight is just as important for Canelo because it ranks among the toughest tests he has ever faced.
One thing about Canelo is he's been in a million big events. And I'm gonna ask him about this just between you and me when he gets here, don't tell him, but has he ever been in a bigger fight than this one? Is this everyone knows this is easily the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career. But has he ever been in a fight as big as Canelo Alvarez, who's been in a million huge fights? Floyd Mayweather, that was huge and that was Floyd, but he was young then. He was young and he wasn't gonna be in front of, 50 million people worldwide. Because this ain't a pay-per-view. This is available to everybody. I think Triple G, those were big fights, but not like this.
Boxing journalist Dan Raphael called the matchup fascinating, but added a warning. He noted that neither Canelo nor Crawford looked spectacular in their most recent outings. raising doubts about whether both are still at their peak. Rafael hopes this fight motivates them to bring their absolute best to the ring. His words reflect why fans are so intrigued. A battle between the greats only lives up to the hype. If both fighters show up at their highest level.
Highly anticipated Canelo versus Crawford. It's approaching very, very soon. What do you think, Dan?
I mean, it's a big event. It's probably the biggest event of the year in boxing. They're both great fighters. They're both Hall of Famers in waiting. As a boxing fan, I'm thrilled because it's a very fascinating matchup with two all-time greats. With the obviously caveat that you got Terence Crawford moving up two weight classes to see what he can do against the undisputed champ. Neither guy looked good in their last fight, but I suspect they're going to be a lot more into this fight. You know who you got in front of you in September. And Crawford's saying, I'm fighting the great Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's like, I'm fighting the 4-division champ, pound-for-pound type guy. And Crawford that's never lost. You know, I better be really prepared. So I'm hopeful that aspect that they're really tuned in.
Former champion Jarrett Hurd shared his experience sparring Terence Crawford. He admitted he couldn't push Crawford back, which showed Crawford's strength, toughness, and sharp ring IQ. For Hurd, this is a warning for Canelo Alvarez. Crawford may be much harder to pressure than expected. Testimony like this from a fellow fighter adds weight to the idea that Crawford can handle heavy attacks. It also raises the question, will Canelo's power be enough to break down someone so proven against elite competition?
We're going to try and cut through all the intangibles, all the noise, and figure out exactly who is going to win this fight. There's a couple of things I've noticed before the fight mentally that might give us an indication as to where these two guys are at. The major talking point of physicality and size is something that we're absolutely going to have to cover. And I'm definitely going to try and come down one way or the other on this before we see the two men in the ring. Can Crawford take those punches? Will he hit hard enough to hurt Canelo? How has preparation gone for the two men? And finally, tactically, do I think that Crawford can execute a game plan that would allow him to beat Canelo Alvarez and become the first ever 3-weight undisputed world champion? I'm probably going to change my mind a couple of times along the way in this one, guys, because it really is that hard to pick. So watch me as I go through the process of figuring out who wins this damn fight. Hello everyone, and welcome back to a guy called Henry. I'm absolutely buzzing for this fight. I know that the promotion and the hype for this one has been a bit weird. I don't know why. I really thought that Netflix were going to go all out on this because obviously the whole reason they put these fights on is to try and get more subscribers on their platform. And look, maybe it does giant numbers and I've just missed something here, but it does feel a little weird, this build up. Even the weird face-off where they're standing on that float in the water, it's just something not quite there and not quite right with it. But it doesn't matter to me because I love boxing and I can put all that aside and go, I've thought about this endlessly, I've analyzed and assessed everything, and I just have the hardest time picking a winner here because I can see ways that both men can win. I can see what's more likely. I can see which way my mind is going, and it's a real battle for me here. Sometimes I just have a feeling about things, but I hate feelings when it comes to boxing. It doesn't matter how you feel, facts are your friends. I'm gonna try and give you as many facts, or at least try and read between the lines as much as I can in this video.
Reports from Crawford's camp suggest his team is training with incredible focus, sharpening both skills and strategy. There were rumors about a shoulder injury, but those have been dismissed as false. The latest updates confirm that Crawford's preparation is on track, and he will enter the fight fully healthy. Fans can now expect both fighters at their very best, with no excuses about injuries. For a fight of this magnitude, it is crucial that both men step in ready to perform at the highest level.
Canelo can land one shot to the body and he can take out Crawford. That's the reality of this fight. But look, the point of what I'm making here is if that shoulder injury is real, we're not going to know about it because Team Crawford's adamantly denied it. And let's just suppose that he is there for a payday. You're not going to know about any injury because they want people to buy the fight, they want people to watch it. And also, they're not going to want their opponent to know that there's any weakness coming into it to give them the best chance possible. And, you know, we know Canelo likes to hit the arms where he can to tire you out and weaken you. So if that shoulder injury is legit, then there's massive problems. But let's assume that it's not going to be an issue in this prediction. There's also been the chat about Canelo sparring Jerome Boots Ennis, which is probably pretty good preparation, being he's a switch hitter, he's smaller and faster, you know, similar to Terence Crawford in some ways, although I also think quite different. But are you going to get much better sparring than that? Probably not. People saying that it might have been too much for Canelo, it might have affected his confidence, taken too much out of him. I saw Teddy Atlas saying that you don't want to break your guy in the gym and all this, and I just think we have no idea what kind of sparring they were doing. You know, Jerome Ennis could have gone in there and done purely tech sparring.